guys, welcome back to the Zeze MILLZ show. I don't want to call this a special because it makes it seem like it's really like, well, it is a heavy subject, but I don't want it to be like a, you get what I mean. Anyway, so today we have a different setup because I basically wanted to do this because obviously we've all seen what's going on in social media in Nigeria with the whole EndSARS movement, and me myself looking at all of the hashtags, as someone told me to do this, like over how many hashtags? Like probably millions of hashtags. And to me, looking at it was overwhelming. I've spoken to some of my friends, they said they were overwhelmed with the information as well. So I thought, if I'm overwhelmed, there must be loads of other people out there that are just overwhelmed with the intake of information. So I just wanted to get somebody on to kind of have a chat. It's not an interview, I'm not trying to challenge anything. I've obviously got questions, but just to have a chat and educate me and other people about what's going on, about what we can do, is there anything that we can do from all the way over here, etc. So today we have Hannah with us. Hey. Thank you for coming down at last minute. Literally, I put out a tweet and quite a few people added you, and I was just like, okay, cool. And then I slid in the DMs, as you do, come on. One thing about Twitter DMs, though, I don't like it. The person has to be like...
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Because we didn't follow each other. There was like, can you enter your number? And I was like, this is a bit weird.
I know. But I think in this day and age, it's a norm, you know.
Anyway, so you're here now. That's all that matters. And just give like a bit of a background about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a journalist. I have been for the past 6+ years. And I've mostly worked at organisations like the BBC. But most recently, I've been working in African news. So like on a day-to-day basis, that's literally just inhaling everything to do with the continent. And in relation to what we're talking about today, I am originally Nigerian, so this is obviously something that just hits home in a very different kind of way. And I recently got back from Nigeria. I was there for about 5 months.
How was it?
Incredible. I lived in Lagos. I was living my best Lagos life, drinking all the Chapmans. If you know, you know.
I know.
You know.
Yes, listen.
Having the suya on the expressway late at night. I miss it so much. The people, the vibes. I love everything about my country apart from the leadership, but we'll get into that.
Okay, so for people that don't know, because I think a lot of assume that loads of people do know, but there's quite a few people that actually don't know what's happening or understand what's happening. Like I spoke to my mum this morning and I was like, have you seen what's happening in Nigeria? She's like, yeah, I have a vague idea, but I think us young people take for granted that we have our phones and we are very in tune with our phones and in tune with social media. And a lot of, not even just the older generation, some young people are not in tune with their phones. They literally don't care about social media. So I became aware of the whole hashtag EndSARS about, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks ago. That's when it kind of popped up on my radar, when I feel like that's when it became a trending topic. But obviously it's been happening for years. So can you just explain, like, what is SARS first of all?
Yeah, absolutely. So SARS stands for the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. And they were they began, shall I say, before I was even born. So they've been around for over almost 3 decades. Right. And they were specifically put to target robbery in the country. Mm-hmm. So Nigeria is obviously a very, very big country. Over 200 million people live in there. And with that, over the years, several years, there's been very big issues of insecurity. Mm-hmm. So we have our police, but it got so bad in many parts of the country that they had to specifically assign a unit to target robberies, and that's armed robberies, and several of the issues. So
where did they find these people to join SARS? Were they ex-police officers? Were they policemen, or were they kind of civilian? Who are they?
So it's a mixture. So a lot of them come from either military-based backgrounds, or they probably did some training, or most commonly police officers. Okay. So I guess I wanted to take up the challenge and work in a specific type of crime unit, and that's how it was formed. Interestingly enough, there was a very popular figure in Nigeria who was killed by robbers, and this is kind of what sparked the invention of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. They've pretty much been around since then, and it's just really disappointing to know that they've done everything apart from what they were meant to do in their job, almost.
Some of the research that I was doing, I saw that somebody mentioned that they have been banned about 3 to 4 times before it got to this point? So not stopped, just banned. What was the difference of them? Do you get what I mean?
So the difference back then, I think it was more so analysing them, because with each incident that happens on the 4 occasions where the government said, right, we just need to look into this, it's because there was just a surge in so many incidents. There were so many reported and unreported cases of people saying a SARS officer has gone through my phone, I've been raped by a SARS officer, a SARS officer has taken me to an ATM and forced me to take out like almost 50,000 naira, which is about £100, you know, just invaded my privacy and hit me ruthlessly. So it just came with, you know, a massive influx of you know, incidents that many Nigerians were just reporting again and again and again.
Okay,
but I think this present point and what's been happening over the past couple of years, social media has fueled that by a milestone, forcing the government to make a final decision on SARS. But unfortunately, it wasn't the decision that people were happy to learn about.
How did we get to this point? As in, like, what's been happening over the last couple of days? How did it get to the point where it began trending again? What sparked everything off?
Honestly, it was happening again. So a young boy was murdered by SARS, and that was caught on camera. And that video literally went viral on social media. And then again, we just saw a resurfacing of the hashtag going global. And I think what makes it different this time is, again, it gained international attention. And as I tweeted the other day, Nigerians, African leaders will only properly respond to international embarrassment. So the fact that you've got figures like, whether it's, you know, musicians like Beyonce, Rihanna, Hillary Clinton, you know, talking about it, it gained that international attention. International news outlets were talking about it. So therefore, government officials in Nigeria had no choice but to do something. And I remember being at the first protest in London outside of the Nigerian embassy, where you had the likes of Wizkid and Mr. Easy. And I remember towards the end of the protest, there was like a loud like cheer, like, ah. And that was when the Inspector General of Police announced that SARS was dissolved.
Meaning that it wasn't banned, it was gone?
Yeah, absolutely gone, just like poof, out of into thin air. And you know what followed on from that was a decision to not fire SARS police officers, which is what people essentially meant behind the hashtag #EndSARS, but rather they were distributed in different jobs, meaning that they still have the opportunity to commit the crimes that they were doing in SARS, but they're just doing it with a different job title.
Can you explain how the leadership in Nigeria works? Because obviously I've heard a few names going around, but obviously I'm not from there, so I don't know exactly who's who or what part they have to play. So if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say in this case, there's...
Like, who's the main figures in the... I'm guessing...
I'll give you the main 3 ones that have been trending a lot and people just want to completely cancel. So the first one is the Nigerian president, Muhammadu Buhari. So he came into power in 2015, and it's just so unfortunate to see the little change that's come into effect since then. And, you know, like any president, he made several promises, but in his speeches leading up to him being elected, there was so much emphasis on protecting the youth.
Okay.
There was so much emphasis on helping the youth and tackling issues like youth unemployment. And a very interesting thing about SARS is that the youth are actually their #1 culprit. So the largest majority of deaths by SARS have actually been young people. So I think that's why people are so frustrated.
Why do you think that is?
I think because of issues like fraud. So fraudsters in Nigeria are given the nickname Yahoo Boy. That song by Naira Marley, Am I a Yahoo Boy? If you actually look at the lyrics, it gives you a bit of context of, you know, how they operate and stuff, you know, very flashy and do very fraudulent activities. So SARS officers specifically target young men, many young men who I've spoken to. You know, they could be anywhere. They could be walking on the street, they could be in an Uber, and there'll be stops, they'll be questioned. They will look through their phone, look through their apps, you know, look through pictures and etc., just to find any link to who they are, and just waste their time for maybe up to an hour of just being searched, being questioned, you know, taking money off them. a lot of people blame Buhari for these issues, just completely neglecting the youth and leaving them vulnerable, essentially. And, you know, I was in Nigeria for 5 months. I was there during the lockdown. And even the way that he addresses issues, it's kind of hard to, you know, find that human appeal from him. Because, you know, when you speak to a president like Obama or whoever, or even Trump, they have a bit of personality.
Right,
You can get a bit of something from them, but it's very hard to kind of read anything from him. And this is where issues come up with age, because he's pretty much the same age as the other two big names in Nigeria that have been trending a lot as well. So yeah, I would say he's the number one culprit, as many Nigerians would describe. Completely want him to, you know, leave office. I'll count down the days till the next presidential elections, which is in about 2 years and 4 months. I'm counting down the days too, because I can actually vote.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm a Nigerian passport holder, so I'm definitely going to utilize that. And second, we have Tinubu, he actually created the All People's Congress, which is a very popular party in Nigeria. And he owns the toll gate. So that's another thing that you may have seen trending, Lekki toll gate. Okay. So he owns that. He's a very rich, powerful man, and etc. But there's so many messed up things as to what exactly happens that night, being that when you know, police officers or army officials or whoever came to where the protesters were, the lights were shut off before shots were fired. There's images that have been circulating around that CCTV images from the tollgate was also taken away. And we're not hearing any responses or anything from Tinubu. You know, there's many other...
So he's not spoken at all?
No, he's barely spoken. He's been traveling to Europe. He's currently in London right now.
Is that the one, the people that tweeted the dress out? Oh, no, it's not that one, was it? The dress, was it him? Oh, the one that they...
Oh, yeah, the address.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Literally, people tweeted his address, and I think a few people that were protesting here in London wanted to go outside of his house and protest. So he is a big culprit number 2, because, you know, nothing has been addressed or anything. And then there's like a tweet that I saw that was so disturbing. Basically, those protests they lasted about 13 or 14 days before the incident happened. And that tollgate, Lekki tollgate, it's like I don't drive much in London. What's a very popular...
Tower Bridge?
Tower Bridge, the A4 something.
A406.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, right.
So just imagine that. Protesters just stay there. No one can get in, no one can get out. And that's obviously a central part of town where people are, you know, going through religiously. And bearing in mind Lagos, that already is home to 20 million people. So it's a likelihood a lot of them are going through that. And you've stopped that. And I saw a tweet that calculated how much the Nigerian government or the Lagos government lost, and it was about 38 million naira. I cannot directly, you know, convert that, but obviously it's a lot of money, million or billion. So people are saying that was also a retaliation for this setup that came about to turn off the lights on Lekki Tollgate to get rid of the CCTV, so no one would be to blame. And then the third culprit, another name I'm seeing circulated around, is the Lagos State Governor, who's called Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and he governs Lagos. Another thing that was really shocking, and I was very concerned for my friends in Lagos, was when the incident happened the other day, he announced, like on the day, that there would be a 4 p.m. curfew. So it'll be from 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. You can't tell 20 million people that they have to be indoors by 4 p.m. with such little notice. So there have been concerns that was obviously premeditated.
Because they knew that that's practically impossible for everyone to get home.
It's impossible because traffic as it is nuts. Right. So a lot of people are absolutely furious at him, and it was even more shocking. Do you believe that it was
this whole thing that happened the other day was set up by the government?
I don't know, you know, it could have been. It has a very strong likelihood to. But you know when you just want to believe that people aren't that sick to want to do something like that? So, yeah, that's just been really mad. And also when he gave a nation address the Lagos state governor, and said with his own mouth that there weren't any fatalities there.
But we saw different.
But we saw different.
And what about your friends that are there? Because they've only reported one. Didn't they only report one fatality?
One or two.
But I've heard that there's been over, I think
70 or something.
Yeah. Do you believe that?
I've been hearing the same.
Do you believe that there's more?
I believe that it's more than 70, unsure. I definitely believe that it's in the double digits, and I'm just basing it on what I literally saw. So did over 200,000 people. DJ Switch, a very popular DJ in Lagos, had on Instagram Live the incident that was happening literally from the beginning. Yeah. It was surreal. You can see people with, gunshot wounds. You can see people literally dying on it. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And then, fake news being a very big issue. The Nigerian army were claiming that, the lives that were lost was fake news, and it was fake news. And as a journalist, this is where it just gets really tough, because I'm looking at the people where it's actually happened to. And then when it comes to us reporting on the news, we go to the witnesses, they describe what they saw, and then we go to the government officials who are also meant to provide an account, just so that it's balanced at least, or just so that we get different views. Yeah. So if you go to the people that were affected saying, yo, I saw people getting shot dead, and then you go to the government and they're saying, no, nothing happened. It's like a really big mind, I don't know if I can swear, mind F. You know?
Can swear on this show, I swear on the
yeah, so I would say those are the three main.
So I've seen a lot on social media about, I've seen petitions going around. I've seen mixed, mixed opinions on whether you should sign petitions, whether you should not. Sanctions as well. Some people are saying you shouldn't sign the sanctions because you're asking the UK government, you're asking external government to help you. Why would you do that when they are the ones that have put Nigeria in this position anyway, due to colonialism? I never can get that word right. Did I say it properly?
You did.
I know, I always get it wrong. I can never get that word out. It makes me sound really silly. But due to all of the being colonized. So is petitions good, sanctions good, yes, no? Or I guess it's not as easy as yes or no.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Even me, I had to do some double reading on that, because I'm always careful with, petitions and just signing stuff. Because I can understand in the heat of the moment, we're like, oh, yeah, let's just sign this petition. Because I did see one floating around, and it was a UK-based petition. And here in the UK, you only need about 100,000 signatures before the government will literally look at it. And I checked earlier today, and it was about 220,000 signatures. Now, the thing about sanctions, I understand why people want that to go into effect, so that those at the top can be restricted from, things like financial help or, travel or stuff like that. But the danger of inviting the West, as I've seen many people express, is that it's more of so we're asking them to scratch our back for a bit. And in return, we're going to have to scratch their back for the rest of our days.
Right, okay.
And it's also looking at the fact that, we've seen in the past with many parts of the world, when it comes to Western intervention, rather than actually holding the government officials to account, it tends to have more of a negative effect on the citizens.
Okay, right.
So I'm seeing a lot of mixed bag reactions. I'm seeing people that are very anti-sanctions saying, no, just... talk to people in the country, let's start at the grassroots, people that are actively working towards this. But I feel like some people are just sort of like fed up, and, they're in the mindset of, we've exhausted all the options. What else can we do?
Right, okay.
This has been happening for so long. This is the last resort.
So say if the UK government or any government external decided that they're going to intervene, can the Nigerian government be like, we don't need your help, fuck off?
It really depends on how they're intervening and what exactly it is. Is it the case of, deploying some troops, or is it coming to some sort of agreement? It's really hard to tell how these discussions and decisions are made. I mean, I'm obviously aware of the fact that Nigeria and the UK do have, very strong relations, but I'm not sure. I can't imagine what it would look like, but I'm quite hesitant for that. to happen, but at the same time, I'm understanding of people's desperation for something to happen.
So if they don't intervene, then how does all of this kind of get sorted out?
That's where it gets tough. I would say it's easy for people to feel very hopeless right now, because before 100%. I came here for us to sit down, I was on the way, so I missed President Buhari's speech. He finally spoke, and he barely said anything. Yeah. He was reading from his sheet as usual. No personality, nothing, no compassion for the lives that were lost. It was almost quite predictable. A lot of people were, really, really disheartened by it. I know that there are people that are still continuing to protest. There are really brave individuals that are saying, you know what, if that's what it takes, then it's going to continue. So I would say Nigeria is in a very icy kind of place, because we're looking to our leaders and our governors to give us some sort of clarity and direction, and there's none. So I can just imagine it, being the case where really brave individuals are just going to have to take ownership and say, I may be a nobody, but I'm just going to go out there and do something.
Do you think they will fold, the Nigerian government? Or
I don't think they will. You know what? As well as, young people wanting to do their thing, which they have been, there's so many young, incredible, amazing Nigerian activists that are doing awesome things, from like lawyers giving up their day jobs to help others, to, people working in business, to helping protesters. And, it's just so amazing to see young people come together. But the only slight ray of hope that I see next is in 2023, the next presidential elections.
Really?
Yeah, it's really hard to kind of see things going into fruition now, because I can't think of a senior person in Nigeria who has particular plans and motives that are going into fruition. Maybe it's something that's happening behind the scenes, I'm not sure. But it's very hard to see, because I'm not seeing anything. So
it started off about the young man being brutally killed, but now what do you think actually it's about? Because I know that there were 5 things that I saw that they wanted to be addressed. Yeah. And now I've heard that, those 5 things were kind of addressed, and now they've come back with more stuff, a lot more stuff. So do you think now it's gone beyond that, and now it's just people have reached their boiling point? I've heard that, young people don't have, there's nothing for them to do really. They don't have access to things, and even basic necessities that people should have, they don't have them.
They weren't even protesting for that. That's what's mad.
What do you mean?
Like these basic necessities, those were the things that they weren't even protesting for.
Now
I think that's what makes it mad.
And now it's got to that point now where they are, because is that what? So what do you think it is?
It's a mixture.
What's NSARS now? If that makes sense.
I mean, I think it's to end police brutality in Nigeria and to make Nigeria better, essentially. I know that we have so many different types of hashtags and etc. But these issues of bad healthcare system and electricity, water, good roads, this has been an ongoing thing. So it's been on that everlasting list.
Right.
It's been around for years and years, to the point that people are just used to it now. So they've had to sort of just, tailor their lives according to that. But there is a long list of issues. So access to, decent healthcare, again, water, electricity, police brutality, restricting government officials to get healthcare over in the UK. Like, why aren't they, receiving healthcare in their own country? The list is honestly ever growing, and I don't want to say everlasting, because, there are some plans and initiatives being put up by people that even run their own independent organizations. But in regards to how much the government are going to put that in their priority list, again, it's just so hard to say. It's so hard to read a government that just don't properly communicate or relate with their people. I'm having to look for other younger, educated and passionate Nigerians just to give me at least a little bit of hope, because you're waiting for that moment. There were millions of Nigerians, many people that are scared to leave their homes at this present time, sitting waiting for the president to give them something, and it's nothing.
I know a lot of people over here, I've seen that they're kind of just helpless. They're tweeting, they don't know what to do. Yeah. What people that are not there in Nigeria, what is there anything that we can actually do? Obviously, I know tweeting is bringing a lot of awareness, it's put pressure on the government, but what else can we do?
Donate.
But is it going to go to the right place?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And I trust and believe in that. The Feminist Coalition are doing incredible work. Like, they've been paying hospital bills and, you know, literally saving lives. So I 100% recommend them. And listen, Nigerian Twitter is not hard to find people. You'll see people just tweet randomly, please, I don't have enough money for X, Y, and Z. This is my account number. I'm not even going to do like a sponsored ad or whatever. But there's loads of apps that, you know, you can use if you want to send money to people in whichever country from your own UK bank account or whatever. If anyone's in doubt, just DM me or message me. Like, it's very simple to do. Just reach out to people. Like, you know, they may be protesting on the streets, but we don't know if they have much meals to go back to. And it's not judging or stereotyping, but people need help. Like, people sacrificed a lot of their time to go out there and protest, which is incredible. People are on their phones a lot more, you know, keeping up to date with what's happening. In many parts of Nigeria, data just runs like water. So donate, give them money for data. If they're not hungry, give them money for data.
Yeah, so that they can let people know what's going on
just
in the world.
Just help in whichever way that you can. And that's why I'm just being very broad with my meaning of donate. It's not saying it in the sense that you expect everyone to be, you know, poor, struggling. Everyone has different struggles. So in whichever way you can help.
And lastly, what advice would you, I won't say advice because that's a bit heavy, but the youth that are in Nigeria and that are standing up and they're being brave and like I spoke to somebody who's an elder Nigerian person, they said, you know, we should have done this. This is what we should have done many years ago, but we didn't because we wasn't brave enough. It was kind of ingrained in us that this was okay. But obviously it's not safe for them to be out on the, like, it's not safe for them at all, but I understand that they have a passion and they want to make a change. But what would you say? What do you think?
To them?
Not to, I don't want to say to them, because to them, but I don't want to be like, oh, you know, I don't want it to be like that. But what advice? Because it's kind of like, I understand, but then we don't want to see more people dying. Do you get what I mean? So it's hard. Do you get what I mean? What do you think the right thing is to do?
The right thing is to do is to continue on the conversation, because I think that's how we got her in the first place. And by that, being an optimist, I'm just focusing on the positive of things. Had it not caused, you know, 2 million tweets to surface, changes wouldn't have been made, like the dissolvement of SARS. I know that obviously didn't result to amazing things, and look at the terrible atrocities that happened at Lekki Tollgate, but let's continue that conversation. SARS should be a worldwide issue, because this is where it's derived from. It's beyond SARS. It's police brutality, which in the year of 2020 has been a very big talking point. It's understanding that injustice is injustice, and no matter where you are in the world, it's human unity, and we have to educate ourselves on things and just, you know, stand up in whichever way we can, if that is via social media, if that is, you know, just reading a little bit more to understand the politics of how a country works, because this social media thing, it works. Right. It really does, because people are becoming more educated, and there are people that don't even know Nigerians and they're fighting for them, you know? And I think it's important just to continuously stress the importance of the validity of life. You know, it's such an influential country. Look what comes out of Nigeria. You can't tell me there's a Nigerian in your life that you don't love. True. Because we are very infectious. We're pretty much everywhere. And I've not met any Nigerian that's not ashamed to, you know, say where they're from. So just showing love through one of the most populous countries in the world that so many good things come out of, but those at the top are just not good for the country. But I do see hope. I really, really do hope that, you know, the younger generation can just thrive in Africa. You know, it's also been a very interesting and topical year for issues of racism, and go back to where you came from. And I would happily go back, but I would love to go back knowing, you know, the future generations can go back. And they're not going to enter it with an idea of, okay, this is a corrupt country. No country should, be born to be corrupt. It shouldn't just be that way. It should be good for everyone. There should be equality. People should be getting paid well. Some people will be listening to me and think, oh, that will never be Nigeria. But it's why we're protesting. It's why we're sending out these messages, because we have some slight bit of hope. So I'd say the main bit of advice is just to keep the conversations going. Let's not bury it under the rug, because it's still happening. It's happening right now. It happened yesterday. It's going to happen tomorrow, unfortunately. So let's just keep those conversations against any type of injustice or police brutality in our mouths, because it's working, it's educating, and God willing, it will change things.
Cool. So obviously we kind of just, I won't say skim the surface, but we just wanted to give a broad of what's happening over in Nigeria, how we can help. As Hannah said, just try to donate. I think we'll put I'll get Hannah to give us some good organisations that you can donate to. And like she just said, just keep the conversation going. I know people think social media, blah, but look at what social media has already made, the small changes that are happening. So I'm sure that there's loads of more that we could have spoken about, but we don't have loads of time to do it in. But hopefully this was helpful. It was helpful to me to get a better understanding of everything that's going on. So you know what to do, like, subscribe, and if you're going to share a video, make sure you share this one. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.